Yeah, it's true, because I was a total nerd. I didn't have a Superman back then.
This is Champaign is Also a Band podcast. One songwriter, one song. I'm Sven, your host for a journey into the music of Champaign-Urbana. Recorded in the Blue Box studio with a songwriter from the Champaign-Urbana music scene, past or present. Welcome to Champaign is Also a Band podcast. This is Sven, and today I am joined by Emily McCown. You may know Emily McCown from such bands as Whiskey Business, as well as her current project, Sororise.
Also, locally, I'm playing in Relevator right now. I'm playing backup in Relevator and Chachi and the Banditos.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, welcome to the show. And today we're going to be talking about your song, How I Adore, by the band Whiskey Business from the album From Slug Hollow, which I will post the link to their Bandcamp on the notes. So, Emily, welcome.
Thank you. Thanks, man.
So, do you want to just get down to listening to How I Adore, and we'll just then talk about it?
Sure, sounds good.
let's see. I actually have a few, like, well, I guess my first best question is, so did you start off with the words, or did you start off with the guitar or a melody, or?
Yeah, I have a pretty distinct memory of starting off with the words and melody, which is usually how I begin. Almost every song I write is written that way. But I wrote this when I was moving from Minnesota to Washington State when I was 18.
Oh, that's...
Or no, 20, sorry. That was incorrect. I was 20, yeah.
Yeah, that was going to be one of my questions, because there's that line, as the road disappears behind me. And I was like, oh, okay. So there's a sense of there's this leaving or moving on. Is this a breakup song, or is it a you met someone song?
I think it's kind of both, actually. Yeah, I was leaving really like one of my first big crushes behind. We were an item for a really, really brief period before I moved to Washington. And I loved it, but I was also knew that I had to leave. So it was kind of my first attempt at a love song.
When you say first attempt at a love song, how long have you been writing?
I definitely started churning them out in high school, like 15, 16 years old. I didn't really have a solid love song until then.
Interesting.
20.
But did you have a solid love before then?
Oh, I'm sure I had a lot of like unrequited songs. I was a pretty big nerd.
Oh, okay.
I was a pretty big nerd in high school, yeah.
I've been finding most of the cool people really were nerds in high school.
Yeah,
I mean, that's how it works out. Yeah, was that my thinly veiled compliment?
Yeah.
Cool.
Super subtle.
So you recorded this in Olympia when you
Yes, that's right.
went out there?
At Slug Hollow. It was the house.
Oh.
That I lived
and
in.
there is why it's from Slug Hollow.
That's right.
You know, I noticed one thing in this song that compared to the rest of the songs in this album, you do a lot with harmonies usually, and so that there's not just one voice, there's multiple voices. Mm-hmm. And I thought it was really interesting that when I came up with this theory, I couldn't go back. I didn't have time to come back and like listen to everything to make sure that was true. But it does appear that this song is one of the few that is just you singing with no harmony. Mm-hmm. So it's very, very exposed and does have a different feel than the other ones in so many ways. That I'm going to assume Fender guitar, the lead guitar that's doing. I love the tone on that, by the way. I don't know if that was you playing that or like I think part of this show is going to be me just admiring the sound of people's guitars and stuff like that. But it has that kind of bright quality and like not twang is not the right word, but it just has something that it's extra punchy in that regard, and I can't find the right adjective for it, but it does a really good job of matching up with what the bass is doing tonally and like or what's the word for like as timbre, like what's it, timbrely, is that, I don't know.
Sure.
I like inventing words on this show, so
yeah, let's go with it.
I guess those were just a few of the things that I had kind of noticed. One of the things that I in this song that is a really good example of some of your vocal abilities, like you're doing some really cool things. At least I can't seem to. I'm going to define something and see if or not define, but call out something and see if that's how you would think of it as. I look at this and I say as the road disappears behind me, and then all the way through to would make me fall to my feet. I look at that as kind of like the chorus. Mm-hmm. Okay. Good. Okay. So when I refer to it as the chorus, that's what I'm referring to. Because apparently I'm always like, so at the bridge. And they're like, well, actually, I think of that as a chorus.
Yeah.
One of the things that you do that I think is really, I really think it's kind of neat is that you can go from this very like soft, pillowy, gentle sound, and then like when you go into the as the road disappears behind me, you've got that really gritty like. But then even as you're like hitting the end of that phrase, you drop into kind of that soft, even softer falsetto, which I think is like, and this happens a lot with, at least I noticed it in your Sororise.
Mm-hmm. No, that wasn't right, but that's okay. Sororise.
Sororise.
I know, it's hard. I'm just got to stick out, Sven.
Sororise, yeah. So I may just keep that in because, everybody needs to know.
Everybody needs practice on my band.
But it reminds me of some, is there a particular reason that you started noticing that to do that? Or, I mean, what gave you that particular style or influence to do that?
That's a good question. Well, I really remember as far as the flip in my voice when I start like from chest voice to head voice, I really, embarrassingly enough, I just have to claim it. I listened to a lot of Regina Spektor as a teenager in high school, and the way she jumped around the scale was, I loved. I was addicted to it, and I emulated her, especially in high school. And that skill, that technique. It's almost like a yodeling technique. Has stayed with me in some ways. I still really love to play and sing like country and folk. That's very prevalent, but there's something about the energy of the playing electric and playing with a full band that I love to harness some real grit and some power. Yeah. And singing full chested is always my go-to. In general, I feel like I get more endorphins from just letting her rip, like really belting. So the combination of those things, I think, comes out in the song for sure.
So how do you tap into that if you were in a recording studio situation, how do you tap into that to be able to get that grit? Because I just feel like you need the audience to be able, I don't know, sometimes For sure. I feel singing is, to me, just it's everything to me. It makes me feel so good, and I feel like I can harness the passion of my voice no matter where I am. It's just it's cool. Like medicine. It's like breathing to me, and it literally is made up of breathing. So I could see that.
But yeah, you need an audience sometimes for the passion, but by and large, I think I can bring it. And it helps too to have the full band there. If I was just singing into a can, which I think we probably did, but I think I'd imagine that there's like, especially for this song, I just recorded with the full.
I missed the number of people in the band, but did
four.
you? There were 4
total.
Okay, so did you record the acoustic too? Then there's an acoustic in there, isn't there? Tonight here. Okay.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Okay.
Yep, and yeah, my bandmate, co-writer, not for this song, but we kind of shared responsibility for writing the album, like about half and half. She wrote half and I wrote half, and she was on acoustic. Mm-hmm. This
song hits me as like a pretty raw, like it's it doesn't have a very like entirely polished and it polished kind of sound to it, and I feel it's got that. It's been interesting that this was something kind of from your past before you moved to Champaign-Urbana, and like it just has certain qualities about it that I feel like kind of carry forward with some of your work with oh gosh, I can't. How can I not do this right?
It's like soar like a bird. Sororise.
Sororise.
You can.
I
roll
want
over
to throw in that
second R. You can. It's
Sororise.
in there. Sororise.
Sororise. Okay. Yeah. But I mean it's interesting, some of the harmonies that come out of that band that I feel like you are continuing to kind of dig up and return to, and have that, as I said, like, and the harmonies, and I don't know, obviously you blend very well with yourself, but you do, I mean, that's by definition and waveform, that seems right.
Yeah.
But it has a very distinctive, I I don't know if did you do anything, and this is a very general question and more of me as being kind of a recording person, but did you do anything special when doing some of those harmonies, or because I don't know if you have an effect on it, or it's just the effect of you, the way that your
singing.
Voices like blend. You know how like
For Sororise?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and even on the whiskey business, there's a little bit of that where I'm like, okay, that either they're using the same effects, or that's just an effect of your voice blending with itself. You know, kind of not, flange isn't the right word, but like I really am wordless in terms of what it is, but it's just unique. And I don't know if so it sounds like you didn't do anything particularly special, or you did, but
no, not for whiskey business. That was a little bit of reverb, and that was just our voices, you know.
Gotcha.
And some of the songs we did, I think a lot of them we did. So it's 5 years ago now. It's so hard to remember. I know that some of them we recorded vocals after playing the instrumentals as a group. But regardless, the Sororise album, it was my first time being an engineer for myself. So that was also its own learning curve and challenge. And I did do a lot of, especially for the hip hop song at the end, there's just an insane amount of filters and different kind of tweaking things that I did with the EQ for the vocals. Maybe a little less on the vocals, but yeah, there's a lot of filters on that song, as hip hop generally has. Did
you record this like on a laptop, or do you have a studio or what?
Yeah,
wow.
on my MacBook, and I have an SM58, and you know, I would like put up a blanket in my closet and go to town.
Nice. Did you direct line in some of your guitars and things like that?
Yeah, there's 7 tracks on the album. By and large, I think that almost all the instrumentation was really, you know, a MIDI to the atomized.
The soft synth?
Yeah, totally.
Nice.
And there is some guitar on there, and I do remember doing some direct line in, but it's pretty minimal, to be honest with you. Yeah.
Okay. No, I'm impressed, because it's a really good sounding album. I mean, cool. It doesn't have
Thank you.
I mean, it doesn't. Well, it could be that just these days that all you need is just a really good ear to be able to get it right, and good EQ will go a really, really long way for everything, and placement in the stereo, field. Yeah. So
yeah, and I tried to do a little bit of the mastering. I got some lessons from Paul Kotheimer on the science of mastering, and I tried for maybe 10 minutes and was just like so done with the engineering and the production of it in the beginning that by the time it came to mastering, I was like, no, I need to just outsource this. So I got Mark Wyman at ToneGood Studios to try his hand at it. So that helped.
A very wise person once told me, if you're going to record and mix down, don't master. It's like doing your own dentistry. And also just having people have a second ear when you've already gotten tired of listening to the same thing over and over.
It is insanely hard. I'm really glad I tried it, but I want to go back to being a musician. I'll gladly leave the mixing and engineering up to someone else.
Let's just jump back onto this song for just a little bit too, sure. Because I feel like I do feel like there's a bunch of really, we talked about the hand, but your hand the size of my back. I was just curious of where that came from.
You're really calling me out on that one. I feel a little shy about it, but that's okay. I can usually hide behind the kind of rock and roll. No, I'm happy to talk about it. I wrote that line recalling the memory of watching Superman. There was a TV show. It was not there's lots of iterations, but it was on WB or whatever, probably around 2003 to 2008 that it was on TV, somewhere around there. I can't even tell you who the actors and actresses were. But anyway, his hands were huge and her back was so small. And I was like, she looks so feminine and he's just so sexy. And that's what, like, as a young girl, I remember looking at that and being like, wow, that's the sexiest thing.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So that's all that line is. Yeah.
Cool. No, it's just no. It's funny because I just, me and my interpretation mode is just thinking. I just think of if someone were to put like their hand on my back, or if I were to put my hand on someone's back, like it would have to be like a really comforting. I'm picturing like someone being enveloped by the other person, just not in an overpowering, but just being like completely shielded and protected and comforted. So that was where I was thinking, but I like that I like that it's Superman, and yeah, that's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, the only thing that I lacked.
Yeah, it's true, because I was a total nerd. I didn't have a Superman back then.
You were saying that this was, as the road disappears behind me, like that this was, you were leaving from Minnesota going to Olympia, Washington. This was a very short relationship that had really been something pretty amazing to begin with, and then you still had to like let it go.
Yeah, it was good. I was a late bloomer, and I was 20 years old, and he was my first really significant boyfriend, and it was such a relief to kind of come into my own and move to Olympia, where the women ruled the streets, and that and as soon as I arrived, it just felt like I had, had come into my own, and I was all powerful, and I could be and date whoever I wanted. It was a great transition.
You had the new kid at the school. You could redefine yourself however you wanted to be, right? Like, yeah,
it's a great moment.
So I guess I can go back to like the beginning. I dreamt of men like you as a girl.
Oh, well, to be honest with you, Sven, it's like, it's a pretty cheesy love song. I hadn't really written, a love song yet. And I wanted that experience so bad. And finally I had this boyfriend, and I had to leave him behind, and I was like, oh, this is like the tragedy, just like Romeo and Juliet, like I'm here. And I now looking back on it, I'm kind of like, this song is totally inconsequential, but because it's another girl fell in love and had to leave him behind. It's not very profound or deep. But that being said, like you said, the like quality of the recording, the rawness of how we set it up, and I still really love singing that melody. It does really show, I feel, the ways in which I like to move my voice, and I get to really, and when I sing it, I get to really let loose and also be precise with the falsetto and the pillowy stuff. So that range and kind of journey is really fun to still perform to this day, even 10 years later.
I was kind of surprised that as we've been talking about it, that this was something that you felt was like your favorite song. Yeah. And I'm just curious why you find that as your favorite song. I'm just curious if there's more to it, that it grows in meaning to you at all, or you're just like, this is something that I used to be, and it's good to look back on it, kind of like looking at some old pictures kind of thing.
Yeah, I think it is a slice in time. It's nice to have those. For me, it's like my songwriting is like an audio scrapbook for sure. Also a song that I picked because there are plenty of songs that I'm working on now that I like to perform out right now, whether it's Sororise or just Emily Ann around town that I love, but I haven't found the opportunity to get a real gang together to get a solid recording. So, 5 years ago, I found the opportunity to get a band together for this song, and I think it still holds the test of time a little bit. But when I moved here to Champaign-Urbana about almost a year ago, I wrote another song that I feel kind of matches that caliber and is also this as similar in its tone and cadence, where I have a lot of kind of soft, more falsetto vocals, but also really get to belt it out. And perhaps it's also a reflection of my personality too. I feel that we were just talking about how the gender binary is old and doesn't apply to the human experience. And I feel, though I identify as a woman, I think that femininity fails me. and that I do like to be feminine in certain ways, and in certain ways I don't. And it is the same in my voice. It's like I enjoy singing softly and sweetly, but I would be so upset if I couldn't really belt it out and move about the scale like that. So
Champaign is also a Band podcast is proud to support Exile on Main Street. Exile on Main Street, located in the old train station building at 100 North Chestnut Street in downtown Champaign, has been helping to build record collections since 2004. Carrying a wide array of new and used LPs, CDs, and video games. Exile on Main Street has something for just about any music enthusiast and old-school gaming devotee. Exile also hosts regular free live music shows on its stage, so be sure to check out their Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter pages for the up-to-date details on the next upcoming event. Open 7 days a week, they can be reached by phone at 217-398-MAIN. That's 217-398-6246. I apologize if this isn't accurate, but I kind of feel like you're still new to Champaign-Urbana.
True.
When did you move here?
it was last February.
Oh,
February
okay.
2018, late February. Yeah.
No way.
Yeah.
Happy anniversary.
Yeah,
no,
thank you.
Happy CU anniversary.
That's true.
Sometimes I feel like, gosh, I can't keep up with anything that's going on in this town. And to feel like, oh, okay, since in my mind you're more of a recent occurrence. I don't mean it. I hope that didn't come off as rude, but I was like,
I would like to be considered an occurrence. Like, I feel like that's a big deal. I'm into that.
So what caused you to come out to Champaign-Urbana?
I grew up going to summer camp with a good friend of mine who lives here and who grew up here. And I visited him. I was on tour of sorts, and I visited him here. I didn't perform here, but spent a few days 2 years ago around the same time, and met his friends and went to the Hootenanny at the Rose Bowl. And I was charmed. I was absolutely charmed. And I had to get out of Washington. I was so connected to Olympia and the people there and the music there. The rain was just not suiting me. The rain and the clouds was just too hard for me. And, you know, being someone who grew up in Minnesota, Illinois seemed like it would suit me and also not be as extreme as it was in Minnesota, which has been true. Maybe the summers are actually just a little bit too hot for me, but I'll take it. I like it here.
That's what indoor venues are for,
That's
right? In the time that you've been here, you did mention the Hootenanny, which is over at the Rose Bowl in Urbana.
That's right.
And that goes on every Monday night. I would call it an open mic, but it's not. It's got a little bit of a different flair. It's more of like the regulars that show up. But I also feel like if you were to want to get up and play, people be like, get up there.
Yeah, I've started co-hosting, and I think that, we really strive to strike that balance of, it's not just an open mic where, you know, everybody is a stranger and trying out new material and just there to perform and go. It's somewhere where you can go and you can expect to have quality players that you like and you want to see.
Yeah.
But also it's open. And we do want to like just keep building that community, and everybody is welcome to perform. So it's that trying to have that happy balance. So the Champaign-Urbana scene. My scene that I roll in is mostly the folk scene, as we talked about the Hootenanny. And yeah, the folk scene in Urbana is my home, my people. They're so wonderful. And I know that there's much more genres and different kind of niches to tap into. I did play a Sororise at Emporium with the Dry Look and the FalbonautsC, and that was super fun. And I feel like that was a heavier scene that I haven't really been plugged into very much, but that was super fun. By and large, though, I started on the booking committee for the Folk and Roots Festival, and I love it. I feel like there are a lot of really professional players that are very generous with their time and resources. I feel very supported in whatever musical aspirations I have, whether my friends and peers are supporting with gear or time, or just want to sit down and are willing to hash out whatever signal flow I need for whatever kind of piece. It's just so much helping hands I see around town, which is just such a beautiful thing. And in comparison to my experience in Olympia, it's also just more intergenerational there. I'm at the Hootenanny, I'm playing with a guy in his 90s and also really young folks, and it's all across the board. And for performing out, there's families that work, parents that you work at the university or whatever. We have an audience that is interested in paying and supporting their musicians, whereas in Olympia it was pretty much everybody's a musician and we're all broke. We're all sleeping on each other's floors and we don't have any money, so no one's gonna pay. It's gonna be a sliding scale at the door, and they'll give you a joint. Like that's about it. Here, I feel like I'm having a lot easier time having music be a part-time job, which is awesome. I feel really supported. And as far as things that I would like to see grow and change in Urbana, the first thing that comes to mind is a couple friends of mine have now signed up to be in the Folk and Roots booking committee, and our first goal is to really see if we can diversify the lineup and still bring in the same acts that a lot of the middle-aged folks that is our audience, bring that folk and roots, the blues, the country, the Americana, but also open it up to women, non-cis men, and like put out the call to as many more diverse people of color as we can in the beginning, to try and book them first, because we know if we just drop a pin, we'll be able to find a straight dude to play his guitar. Right. Yep. It'll be fine. It's nice to see Folk and Roots focus on diversifying and supporting non-cis women, queer, people of color in the music scene is a big dream for me. And also desegregating public space is one of the big reasons I moved to Urbana, was to get out of the white bubble that is the Northwest. Yeah. And that's what I saw in Urbana when I was just visiting, that, on my street in East Urbana, there are people of color, there are white people, but it does, if you look at the way it's laid out in Champaign and Urbana, we are living in kind of separate quarters. It is still a segregated place, and most of the bars and places we go out still pretty damn separated. And I feel that if we find public space that we can share together. Hopefully that means we get to know each other better and we can distribute resources in a more egalitarian way. And that to me is like having this public space together and perhaps sharing some music scenes together can mean that we're actually hanging out, and that if someone needs to borrow my car, they can borrow my car because we're friends. It's that
Right.
community building that's really like face to face and really honest, and not just a fundraiser to send a check to someone you don't know. It's kind of the on the ground work that we really need to have physical space that we can be with each other in order for those resources to flow. That's my dream for Urbana and the music scene.
How do you see creating a space? Because I feel like so often, yes, there's locations, there's a sense of segregation based upon location. So often there is even like physical barriers, like, and it's not necessary. I mean, there is a reason why they say, it's like across the tracks or something, like
Sure.
there's always like there's like these dividing lines that get somehow like thrown up.
Sure.
How do you see now we're just kind of jumping off of like the music part, but like how do you see like that intersectionality happen where you beat the like the certain physical barriers or even the socioeconomic barriers, and then like I guess I'm just curious because I think of certain, like you would have to literally have a physical location almost to be able to coalesce that, right?
Absolutely. Oh yeah. There are two examples just in my year of being here that of physical places and events that I found to be successful as far as bringing different folks together that don't always come together. And for one, I think that the open scene open mic that the Urbana Public Art puts on once a month.
Where is that? Or is it
it's
anywhere?
A traveling open mic. And so it's part poetry, part music. You can really bring and contribute whatever, as long as you just need a mic. And that has gotten, Rachel Storm has done an awesome job to reach out to.
She works Women's Resources Center, right? Okay, yeah.
And she's done a great job to reach out to different folks and pull different parts of Urbana together on it. And I was working for the Cunningham Township over the summer and working on their urban garden across from the library, and so we hosted an open mic there, and that to me felt like that space had a lot of energy to it. It was like your middle class white folks living in West Urbana that just like gardens and like folk music, and then you have folks that were receiving resources from the township or just whoever from East Urbana that wanted to like perform their hip hop. Like it was an awesome scene. There's that, and there's also Boomerangs is what? Like, as far as a bar and physical space goes, the Boomerangs bar in East Urbana, Wednesday nights they have this cheap chicken night, and like say what you will about cheap chicken, it brings a lot of different people together. To me it seems to be one of the least segregated bars in Champaign-Urbana. Lots of folks are going for this wings night on Wednesday nights. So that's a little plug to Boomerangs, because
that
really
is like one of the bar. Okay, that was totally out of left field for me, because I've been to Boomerangs once or twice. I mean, I guess I don't make it out in that direction very often, so I guess that's, but wow. So on Wednesday nights
they have, it's like 50 cents or something for a wing, and then you can get different kinds of wings, and it's like $3 for a few, a plate of wings. Wow.
But it just brings everybody out.
Yeah, it's packed, and
no way.
And I feel like a good sense of, wow, this is a real slice of Urbana, a true slice. Yeah.
Food brings people together, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And as far as the music scene goes, it's it is not as unifying as if, like, we all got to eat, but we all don't like the same kind of music, and I think music is really tied to our identity. So as far as desegregating the music scene, I feel challenged but excited to try and find the genres where and the types of music where we all find some commonality.
So true. I mean, yeah, food people can go for, but not always.
Yeah. Most of my friends are like, "What, a Hootenanny? Are you kidding?"
Right.
They're like, "What are you doing with your time?" And I love country music, but not everybody does, and
right.
I respect that. So yeah, Monday nights I'll be singing country music, but you might find me singing other things for the rest of the week.
The Hootenanny.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, it's very
love it.
Yeah.
But I mean, I've been a few times, and I've always really, really enjoyed it. So it's
that's my home for sure. That's my favorite night of the week.
Most people hate Mondays, but really, this is a reason to love Mondays.
Yes, absolutely.
Champaign is also a Band podcast is proud to support Jubilee Cafe. Jubilee Cafe is a free weekly meal program at Community United Church of Christ, 805 South 6th Street in Champaign, Illinois. Jubilee Cafe serves a home-cooked meal from 5 to 6:30 each Monday. Their mission is to feed hungry people by cooking healthy, delicious meals and by serving their guests restaurant-style with servers waiting on tables. Jubilee Cafe is open to anyone who cares to eat with them. Because food insecurity among students is so high, they serve students as well as others in and around the Champaign-Urbana community who struggle with hunger. Meals are free to all and will be served each Monday evening. Located in the accessible lower level of the building at 6th and Daniel Streets in Champaign. For more information on the meal or how to volunteer, go to the Jubilee Cafe CUCC Facebook page or email them at jubilee.cafe@community-ucc.org. That's jubilee.cafe@community-ucc.org. What is your favorite non-musical thing?
Just like thing.
Well, I mean, like, what is it
an item or is it an experience?
It's up to you.
I can think of two things right off the top of my head, and right now I happen to be living in a house that has an amazing clawfoot bathtub. And I'm very addicted to baths. I am taking a full course of credits at Parkland to prepare for a music therapy degree.
Cool.
Working on a music therapy degree. And one of my classes is online, and I can hang my arm off the bathtub and do my online class from a bubble bath. It's really a luxury lifestyle right now. And that's how I feel about Urbana, is that I've only been here a year, but it seems that everywhere I go, people are opening doors and really pampering me, and just Urbana's really trying to lay down thick so that I stay here my whole life, and I think I'm ready. I'm diving in right now.
Oh yeah. Well, and whether you're a small tea townie or a big tea townie.
Yeah. I'm working on my big tea right now.
So here's an odd question. Are you also a swimmer? Do you like swimming?
Oh, I do like to swim. I don't know how to do swim laps though. This was actually a goal that I had for 2019. Haven't really acquired the skills yet to swim laps, but I've been a runner for a couple years now. I just found running late in my life, but I've been really liking it.
Cool.
But I wonder if swimming would be a great supplement to my old lady regimen.
Well, that's like, you did not just say old lady, because I feel like you're 20 years younger than me, but I could be wrong. But
I don't think
that's all right. We don't need to discuss that.
Okay.
No, I was just curious because I hate to be that weird person, but like I'm a shower person rather than of course I could probably spend way too long in the shower too, but it's probably like ADD or something for me, like, because it's that that stimulation or whatever, or like, you know, just being hit by water. But yeah, and I'm also not a big swimmer, so I was just curious if there was any correlation between like just liking being in water, because I'm a little terrified of water. So it's like, yeah. So
growing up in Minnesota, there's a lake, you know, less than a mile from my house, and so there was a lot of swimming to be had as a kid, for sure.
A land of 1,000 lakes.
Yeah, 10,000.
Yes. And that's right, 10,000.
There's more technically. There's like closer to 20, I hear. So.
Oh.
They just stopped counting because it was too much.
Too much. There's got to be a map somewhere where they're all labeled.
Yeah.
Emily, thank you so much for coming out. This was a pleasure, and I enjoyed having some brunch with you. And
yeah, thanks for making brunch.
You know, I just every time it's just a new adventure, and I'll be honest with you, I was not having a super happy day today, and like I considering the weather, it should have been better, but I just was feeling kind of down a little bit and just not feeling like 100%. But it's been really nice to just chat with you and hear like what makes you tick and what gets you excited. Yep. Thank you so much, and I look forward to all the other stuff that's coming away. Are you doing anything new with? Are you recording anything currently?
Yeah.
Sorry, I just totally jumped into something else, but
yeah. But yeah, I wanted to mention that too. Yeah, I am working on an Emily Ann solo record right now, which is different than Sororise. In that it's just kind of my folk pop stuff. It's less politically charged and more my, you know, feel good, whatever. It's more folky, country, bluesy. Who knows what it is? We'll find out when we get there. But I'm working on scratch tracks right now, and I'm gonna have some really talented players. We're gonna do it live, a live recording. Thank you for listening to Champaign is Also a Band podcast. This is Emily Ann reminding you, great music is out there. Go find it where you live.
You almost have an NPR voice. It's so good.
Studio sounds bigger on the inside.